All right, we are talking about living in Pittsburgh, pros and cons. First thing I'm going to start off with is a con. Probably thought I was going to start off with a pro because I want you to move into the city and use me as a real estate agent. That is true. However, I want you to understand what you're getting yourself into. The first con is going to be traffic. Now, I guess it depends. It's relative to what city you're coming from, but we have 446 bridges and I don't know how many, but we have a lot of tunnels. So anytime you have bridges and tunnels, you're obviously bottlenecked, funneled, narrowed down into a specific area at a specific time. That always causes a problem. Even if we have tunnels that are 2 lanes, that are the same 2 lanes as out in the country, but you put a tunnel over top of it, for whatever reason, it slows everybody down 10 to 20 miles an hour. We have that in Pittsburgh. And to make that even worse is in a lot of our tunnels, we have merging lanes. So you may have merging lanes coming this way. These people want to come onto where you're at before you go in the tunnel, and you might want to get off. So you got people merging every different way. So con number 1 is going to be bridges, tunnels, which also ties in with traffic. Normal traffic's going to be tough there, but when you add rush hour in, snow, ice, it becomes exponentially worse. Okay, I'm going to give you another con right away, and that is going to be tie in with the first one, and that is our infrastructure here. It was told to me it looks like it was drawn on toilet paper with a crayon by a 3-year-old. Now, the reason why chokes me up every time. The reason why our infrastructure is bad isn't because we hired a 3-year-old with a crayon and gave them some crap paper and said, figure it out. It's because, and we're an old city, very old. We'll call it realtor speak. We're classic city. So anytime you have old city, it depends how old it was, but they didn't even have cars back in the day. You know, it may have been walking, and then it may have upgraded to a horse and buggy, and then it may have upgraded to an Edsel or an Etsy, a Ford car, and then a couple cars, and then maybe 10 more cars, maybe 100 more cars. You know, fast forward all these decades, we've got hundreds of thousands of cars, and you know, all the paths were laid out, all the roads were made, and they were definitely not designed to handle all this traffic. And you can't just widen it. I mean, there's a building there, there's, you know, again, a bridge or whatever. So that is going to be 2 cons right out of the gate. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you some pros right now. So over the last decade, I'd say Pittsburgh has really, much like many cities, put a focus on habitability of the city. They know that if you make it able to be jogged, walked, biked, it's gonna attract more people. And let me tell you, I represent a lot of buyers. That is so true. I mean, they have already done their research. They know the trails, they know the areas of town that you can jog and bike. So again, we have a bunch of narrow roads. I don't want you to think narrow like in Italy or Paris where you have to have a small car. Normal size roads, but you can't just cut them out wider. So whenever they put paths or whatever you want to call them on our roads, you know what they did? They got the stencil, put it on the road, and spray painted a picture of a bicycle and said, yep, that's a bike path now, that's a bike trail. So you're sharing it with cars in a lot of places. We have very few dedicated bike lanes. That's it, bike lanes, not paths. On the south side, I bike there a lot. In Lawrenceville, there's no bike lane, man. It's just a regular road with a bike painted on it. So they have made it more appealing. We've taken up train tracks that they no longer use and made trails out of that. The pro for me is biking, jogging, etc. The city's gotten cleaned up and it's a lot safer than it used to be decades ago. So con number 1, physical activity, plenty of it to able to do it nice and safe. So I'm gonna give you another con. So if you're like me and you live in the city proper, that would be where the city schools are. So that would be the city of Pittsburgh, downtown, the core proper, whatever you want to call it. We have a high wage tax. Now I'm not gonna say what it is in the video because it may change but as this video grows old, but you can certainly find that out by just doing a little Google search. So we pay a higher wage tax in the city limits. And I'll be honest with you, I don't mind. I moved from the suburbs to the city because I kept finding myself driving here for biking, activities, so much stuff going on in the city. And you'll see that in other videos that I didn't mind coming here, and I don't mind paying the high wage tax, man. That's why I go out and I use the trails, use the parks. I use everything the city has to offer because I'm paying a high ass wage tax for it. All right, moving on, let's get another pro. So we talked about a high wage tax. Let's talk about the offset, low cost of living. I'm gonna do a video on the cost of living in Pittsburgh. It is extremely extremely low. Of course, it's all relative to where you're coming from. If you're coming to a small little podunk town, we're probably a high cost of living. But you know, we're a small, big city and our cost of living is really low. It's about $160,000 is the median price for a property, not just in the city proper, the whole greater Pittsburgh area. And that's pretty low relative to a lot of places. If you're gonna drop $500,000 or $1 million, you're gonna get a palace. Now here's a bonus, a little caution. I've represented some buyers that have moved from Seattle, LA, and they couldn't believe what you can get for 500 grand. Moved in, paid 500,000 for it. Utility bills started adding up a little high, and taxes, real estate taxes are kind of high. It's gonna be my cost of living video coming up. And they kind of got overwhelmed with that, and some of them wanted to sell it to get out of that high monthly outgoing of money. So another pro that you're gonna love is we have a lot of great job opportunities. There are jobs abound in the Pittsburgh market. If you knew anything about Pittsburgh and history, we used to be very big industrial, blue collar, etc. As times have changed, Pittsburgh has, thank God, changed with them. So one of our big tech schools and tech drivers is CMU, Carnegie Mellon University. We have put a lot of geniuses through that school that have gone on to work with Facebook, Google, to help make these big tech companies what they are, and they haven't forgot about Pittsburgh. A lot of these big companies have satellite offices in the city of Pittsburgh. That is because of CMU, and that has done well for us. So a lot of techie jobs in medical, UPMC, Allegheny Health Network. We have hospitals popping up. I mean, you would think there's more people sick in the world than not with how many hospitals are popping up in Pittsburgh. Allegheny General over the north side just put a huge wing on, which I did a little video of. We'll see in a different video. It's absolutely amazing. Tech and medical are going to be our biggies. All right, moving on. As I sit in our 20th 90-degree sunny day in Pittsburgh, I'm actually going to tell you that the weather is a con. Usually, the past 2 or 3 years, it has been gray skies. We've had more rainy days than Seattle. They've done studies, not by a lot, but we have. Our spring seems to get pushed way back into our summer gets pushed back into our fall, and our fall gets pushed back into winter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we seem to have a lot of great rainy weather. We have a high humidity. Now, a beautiful thing about that is we have a lot of green foliage coming out of that. Oh, one of my big pros, shout out to Don Boyle, a local real estate agent here in Pittsburgh, reminded me a huge pro. Even though we have bad weather, to offset that, no tornadoes, no hurricanes, no earthquakes, and no tsunamis, and any other catastrophic Mother Nature type thing you could think of. Gray skies, bone-chilling January and February temperatures, slushy winters, hot, humid, hazy summers. That's about the worst we have, and we have air conditioning and we have heaters to offset all that. We don't have anything to offset tornadoes, tsunamis, hurricanes, etc. So if you like skiing, you cannot ski directly in the city of Pittsburgh, but we have 2 ski resorts really close, and about an hour and 15 minutes is going to be Seven Springs. It's a huge ski resort. You can go up there in the summer as well, but it's primarily known for skiing. And we have another one called Hidden Valley, which is about the same distance, maybe a little bit further. Seven Springs, it's just known that it's bigger and more encompassing. It has some black diamond runs, and Hidden Valley is not as big. So maybe you're looking to learn to ski or looking for a not so grounded type area, maybe Hidden Valley is your area. And of course they have other stuff like snow tubing and etc. So about an hour away and you have skiing in Pittsburgh. All right, so I took a little survey on social media to see what some of my Pittsburghers thought, and I'm gonna put this one in there as a con. I thought it was funny, and that is too far away from beaches. We can go to Erie, Pennsylvania. It's about 2 hours north. It is a lake, Erie Lake, and they do have beaches there. It's definitely not like a beach you would find abutting an ocean. I can tell you that for sure. We're definitely far away from beaches. So a pro that I really love is cultural diversity. We have a cultural district right down in downtown Pittsburgh, dedicated to cultural diversity, obviously. But we have areas of town that have names such as Polish Hill. You don't have to be Polish to live there or get in. I don't even know what the Polish population is. It was named that way back in the day before all this social correctness was ever thought of. There's a place in Pittsburgh, actually not too far away from Polish Hill, that is called Bloomfield. And it has a lot of Italian descent, and they have a bunch of Little Italy days type thing where they shut down the street and have festivals, and you know, has all your Italian food. Super awesome. Central North Side has the Mexican War Streets. Absolutely nothing to do with that race or anything like that. It's named after a Mexican War, and I'll get into that a little bit different in a specific video. So Polish Hill, Bloomfield, Central North Side has Mexican War Streets, which is a historic area, and Shady Side and Squirrel Hill has has a large Jewish population due to the dense amount of synagogues that are in close proximity to each other. So we have a lot of ethnicity, a lot of cultural diversity in and around the downtown Pittsburgh area. Another pro is we have a lot of museums, art galleries, and stuff like that. Andy Warhol is from Pittsburgh, so we have the Andy Warhol Museum. We have a children's museum, a bunch of different art galleries throughout, and we actually have a symphony. So there's a lot of shows that come through downtown Pittsburgh as well. Plenty of stuff to do. That's a good pro. All right, so listen, I'm almost through the list. I'm not gonna take up too much more of your time, but do me a favor, hit this subscribe button so you can keep getting my cool videos about living in Pittsburgh, and the bell. Can you just tap that bell for me and select all notifications? All right, we're getting down to the end. You're not gonna wanna miss the last one. It is by far the best. So another pro is we have an international airport. You might not think that's a big deal, but if you're trying to fly international and you have to hop around to different airports to get an international flight, that's a big deal. Pittsburgh International Airport's probably about 20-25 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. It's a straight shot down Interstate 376, which brings you into town, into the Fort Pitt tunnels, over the Fort Pitt Bridge, which I have done an extensive video on in one of my other videos. It is called the 7 Things You Need to Know Before Moving to Pittsburgh 2020. You can find the link right here. So another pro, maybe it's a con for some people, is Pittsburgh is a huge sports town. We have baseball, we have hockey, and we have football. All professional sports. We even have professional soccer, though it's not as popular in America or the city of Pittsburgh as others. So we have the multi-time Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, black and yellow. We have the multi-time Stanley Cup winning NHL Pittsburgh Penguins. And we have, oh yeah, Pittsburgh Pirates. I think they may have won a championship way back in the day, but no longer. Sorry. Okay, so that was a lot of pros. Let's talk about a con. Potholes. Some of you from the South may be thinking, what is a pothole? Have you ever seen a pothole? Here, this right here, this is a pothole. So we do have a lot of potholes because we get extreme heat and we get extreme cold. So the asphalt or the concrete will expand and contract over time, especially coming out of winter, going into spring. It's known in Pittsburgh. I think the news even makes jokes about it. The road just pops up and goes away, and that forms a pothole. And if they don't get out there soon enough and you go through it, I personally have blown out 2 tires and bent 2 rims at the same time. 2 different potholes, and I had to get my car flatbedded and got to get a new rim. Unfortunately, my deductible was too high and I had to pay out of pocket both times. I tried getting the city of Pittsburgh to pay for it, but they said they have to know about it and neglect to actually fix it before they would take any culpability. So potholes, it's a pretty big con, but they're getting better at it. Okay, another pro is we have a community that's just 45 minutes to 2 hours away. It's called Indian Lake. Beautiful lakefront homes. It's a private lake. You cannot just haul your boat up, pull it up, drop off, and go. You have to actually own a home on the lake. It's a man-made lake, and it's BYOF, I call it, bring your own fun. So there's 2 golf courses, and there is a clubhouse for the golfers that has a good restaurant that was just reopened in 2019. It's not like Deep Creek where you can pull your boat up and go to a bar and get drunk and stuff like that. The amount of horsepower is limited as well. It's meant to be very family oriented, very safe. So you have little boats, you have boat permits for your land, from your property, etc. A lot of jet skiers, pontoon boats, water skiing, and stuff like that. So Indian Lake's probably 1.5 hours to 2 hours away. That's a pro. Okay, you made it. Here is my last one, and it is a pro. We have great healthcare. Some of the greatest healthcare in all of the United States. I already mentioned it, UPMC, Allegheny General. UPMC has great medical schools. I represented a bunch of fellows that have turned into doctors, different disciplines, etc. And it's one of the best children's hospitals, again, in America. A lot of people will come into the city of Pittsburgh to get fixed, we'll call it. I know a lot of athletes come to UPMC as well, professional athletes, to get fixed as well. Knees, elbows, etc. So that's it. That's my pros and cons list. Please, if you're thinking about relocating in and you want somebody that has all the knowledge in the world, feel free to contact me. You can DM me, smoke signals, carrier pigeon, text, phone call. But again, the best way to get in touch with me is just drop a comment below. If you can just drop a comment on what you thought. Do you want any more pros and cons? Did I forget anything? Do you want me to do a video on something? Feel free to drop a comment below. Brian Tessier, look forward to hearing from you.